challenging time, and we'll wait and see how that goes. But let's now take a look at other papers. And we start off, or rather we continue with the Daily Nation. And how Crash Pastor walked scot-free is the headline for the Nation this morning. And just to remind you, yesterday we were looking at, what are they being called? Those thugs who basically harass people and got away with it. Here now, again, we have another case where police are on the spot for what, according to this article, is bungling what many believe was an open and shut case. Many of us will remember this case 3 years ago where he was accused of driving carelessly and caused an accident where a woman lost her life. But it seems like that story just died out and there was no evidence enough to put him at the place.
In the words of the good book, you shall know the truth and the truth shall set you free. For a pastor, I think this probably would have given Reverend James Maina an opportunity to be able to tell us the truth in the view of him being a pastor. It should have given him an opportunity to stand tall from all the rhetoric and narrative around this accident. It should have given him an opportunity to present the pastor image to the family of the bereaved. It should have given him an opportunity as a pastor to speak the truth to our, more or less the police or the people involved in this kind of assessment or in the accident. So even for it to be able to take this long, there are probably things that the pastor is not saying, whether he was the one driving or not. I think as a pastor, and the image of a pastor from our society is that you really stand tall among almost everyone. And so I think it's quite unfortunate that we have a pastor going through this. It gives him an opportunity, as I've said, to be able to share the truth so that people are able to not only learn from these kind of scenarios, but also enhance believability of who a pastor is and what a pastor presents to the society.
All right, Becky, and maybe moving away from the person of the pastor, because that is really a personal choice that he would make, whether he would tell the truth or not. But looking at the agencies that were actually investigating this particular crash, he was driving on that day, according to the information that was given by some of the witnesses. But the issue comes in how they gathered the information. There was a lot of inconsistencies such that the judge could not make a pronouncement against him because the inconsistencies were too many.
I think it goes back to the system that we have in terms of the police structures, as well as those who are given the responsibility of this kind of investigations. And this is not the first time that we are seeing something like this, where a case comes out in the open and the expectation is that there will be a following through of the investigation and evidence will come out clear, especially when matters like this, which are very public and open in the public domain. Then the expectation is that the people who are in charge would follow through and come up with very concrete evidence. The problem is that when things like this go silent for a number of times, for a number of years, and it seems like people just go out scot-free, then it begins to put a question mark on the kind of system that we have. Is it that you can cheat the system very easily, or what is happening? So I think sometimes it's good for us as a nation and people to come out very strongly, and the people who are charged with this kind of responsibility, to see a level of order being put in place and the right things being done, so that people begin to understand that there is a place for justice in this nation, that if this thing happens to any kind of person who probably does not have this kind of position or this kind of support, then they are assured that there will be some level of justice that will be given to them. We have to remember that a woman died, and that means that there is a family that is hurting. So what happens to them? Yeah.
And of course the fact that she lost her life, which cannot be replaced, but it obviously becomes more painful if justice cannot be done, because the truth of the matter is, then if it was not him who was driving, somebody was driving that car and was driving carelessly, and therefore somebody should be brought to book. But there you go.